What's up, guys? It's your boys Awoki back out with another Chris Watts video. And this video, I never even knew existed. One, because it just came out 3 days ago. But two, you guys have been sending me all these clips of ones you guys want me to watch, which I'm happy to do. But the Secret in the Dark YouTube channel has found, again, I want to give all credit to them because they're the ones that found this information. Letters to the Dead. Chris Watts prison letters to Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. Are you kidding me? We're going to look into this right now. So grab a chair, get comfortable. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting that whiteboard icon down at the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I posted that video. And then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And I thank you guys so very much for the love. And show that love over to Secret in the Dark. Give them some love. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. They have a whole bunch of videos to watch, and I've been watching a lot of their videos. I definitely highly suggest you go check them out. And subscribe, comment, like, and share. And let's take a look.
Home from the airport, 2 a.m., and I left around 5:15. She was still here. And like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day.
And there are so many people that said and told him it's probably not a good idea that you do these interviews on the porch, Chris. And then some people said it would be good for his image to reach out and say that he needs to find his family.
Called her, say, but she never got back to me, but she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well. And that's what really concerned a lot of people, is like, if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine, like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door. And
did you tell him that you told her not to call the police?
That's when I came home.
45 minutes late?
Walked in the house and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here.
Did you guys get into an argument before she left?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back.
And they laughed.
I just want them to come back. And if they're not safe right now, that's what's tearing me apart. Because if they are safe, they're coming back. But if they're not, this has got to stop. Like, somebody has to come forward. If you're out there, just come back.
What?
If somebody has her, just please bring her back.
The more and more I watch this interview, the more and more I feel repelled. I feel repelled from him. I feel just like that dope kind of emote, or not emote, meme.
Back. I need to see everybody.
No, you
I
don't.
need to see everybody again.
You want to see
This house is
NK?
not complete without anybody here.
Shut up. I never knew he wrote a letter to Shanann. See, I think that's messed up. He should not even be have any idea that he can connect with his family. On Christmas Day, Christopher had written these letters to Shanann and the kids. Aw, you shouldn't have. Are we reading all these? I'll read it for you guys. We're probably going to hear somebody talk about it. But as I sit in this lonely cell, as I sit in this lonely cell, I look out my window and I see snowflakes lightly falling to the ground. Immediately, I see how excited you, Bella, Celeste, get when the soft powder is on the ground. I imagine seeing both of you girls rush to get your cold gear on so I could pull you are both around in your sleds. I remember pulling you both around in the front yard, backyard, and on the sidewalks. It was a blast. I remember us all being in elf outfits last year. Everyone was so excited. Your mommy and me loved every second of it. From the frozen jukebox to the frozen Jeeps, the fun never ended. The hole I have in my heart knowing I can't be with you for today is unrepairable. This is like if Hitler wrote a love letter or a I'm apologized or whatever have you to the millions of people that he murdered. Huh. Oh man. You don't know how much I want to hold all four of you in my arms right now. Spiritually, I know God is with me, Jesus is with me, and all four of you are with me here in this cell. And as I look out this window, I see the snow falling again. I remember all the blessings God blessed me with. Merry Christmas, or God blessed me with. Sorry. Merry Christmas, Shanann. Merry Christmas, Bella. Merry Christmas, CeCe. I love you. Where's Nico? Oh, there he is. I love you, Shanann. I love you, Bella. I love you, CeCe. I love you, Nico. But why didn't you say Merry Christmas or I apologize or anything like that? I see none of that. Letter from Christopher to Bella for her birthday. Happy birthday. I miss you so much. I remember last year at the aquarium for your birthday, you had a blast. Even though you're not physically here, I can feel your amazing spirit around me. Your daughter struggled in your hands to fight for her life. And you want to talk about the aquarium. When I read you a story or sing you a song in my cell, I know you can hear me. I feel it in my heart. Daddy loves you always and forever. He's not a father anymore. Celeste, I miss you so much, my little rocket ship. I remember every picture of you. You have the biggest smile. It goes from ear to ear and lights up the entire room. I miss picking you up from school and you sprint towards me once you see me. I will read your book, Lion, or your Lion book to you every night. I know you hear it and it makes you smile. Daddy loves you always and forever. Okay. Nico, I wish I could have met you, little man. You are going to be a little ball player, but I know you are being an awesome little brother to those big sisters you have. Oh, the irony. Wow. Like he has some like nerve. Like writing this. I feel that it's just like a slap in the face. Oh, there's more. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Hopefully you guys are okay with me reading. Sometimes I stutter. I do apologize. Shanann, every time I close my eyes, I see us on our wedding day. Those big eyelashes, your red lips, you look flawless. The love was undeniable. Oh, how I wish we could have that moment in time back. Are you talking about when you wanted to have your sweet empanada and that you craved your mistress's attention? And how you had to Google when to say I love you? Oh, wow, how I wish we could have that moment in time back. Oh, yeah, I read that. Sorry. Just hit the rewind 5 months ago, but unfortunately, life will not let us. Because of you. You're an amazing mother, an amazing wife, and I know you hear me when I pray. The signs are everywhere. As long as I live, there will not be a day or night that goes without me praying to you and the kiddos. I love you with all my heart, always and forever. Number 624-26. May the Lord bless you and take good care of you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look on you with favor and give you peace. Okay. So it looks like he writes to his father. Happy Father's Day. I know today is tougher than most days because it is the day we get together to celebrate our father, and I won't be present there. But please know that I am always there in spirit, and I'm there every day, not just today. Thank you for everything you did for me when I was growing up. Growing up, you're doing now, and everything you will do in the future. Thank you for being the best dad anyone could ask for. I could always count on you seeing that guy or gray flat top up in the stands when I was playing school ball. Even if I were playing, you were, or if even if I wasn't playing, you were there in case. I got some playing time. All the days playing catch in the backyard, even though would throw it way too hard sometimes, you were still out there. I always remember that hook shot you got me with when we played horse over on the blacktop. I still to this day cannot get the hook shot down. But hey, I do have a good jump shot from all those days practicing. Let's not forget the racetrack visits either. Somewhere between 500 and 100 races we went to, if you count Cup, Bush and NHRA. You'll always remember that day I got curious and walked over to the track while you were getting food and thinking your hair went from gray to white. I will never forget the first time I felt the top fuel dragsters go down the strip. That was epic. I wish we would have played golf more than once. It was still fun hitting the links with you. That sport is definitely harder than it looks. Stay out of the sand and definitely stay out of the water. I say this to bring back memories we share and something. It's just ironic that they do this. Oh boy, just the things here. I don't feel sorry at all. And for him to be able to sit there and write to his victims.
I love you, Shanann. I love you, Bella. I love you, CeCe. I love you, Nico.
Oh, is that the whole thing?
Always and forever. Those were his final words. Written in blue ink, carefully spaced across lined prison paper, dated December 25, 2018. A Christmas letter from a man alone in a concrete cell. A man who had erased an entire family from the world just 4 months earlier. The handwriting is steady. The tone, tender. There are no crossed-out sentences. No signs of hesitation. Only love. Only memories. Only a voice reaching out into the silence. But the silence cannot respond. This wasn't a confession. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't even an apology. It was something else. Something harder to define. Each sentence was crafted as if the person reading it would one day answer. As if the little feet he remembered pulling across the snow in a sled still ran outside his window. As if the wife he said looked flawless on their wedding day was just asleep in the next room. The words are simple. The emotion is raw. But the truth beneath them? It's not so easy to accept. What does a man write to the family he destroyed? What can be said when there's no one left to hear it?
Apology.
Chris Watts, from inside his cell, chose to write to Shanann. To Bella. To CeCe. To Nico. He didn't just write once. He wrote many times. Holidays. Birthdays. Moments that would never come again. And he wrote not as a killer, but as a husband. As a father. As if those roles still belong to him.
They don't.
This story isn't about headlines. You've already seen those. It's not about courtrooms, or timelines, or the haunting doorbell footage that swept the country. This time, we're stepping inside something else. These are his letters. Every word. Every sentence. Just as he wrote them. Read aloud. Analyzed. Examined. Not to glorify him. Not to excuse him. But to understand how far a person can drift from the world they built. And how they try to hold on to it, even after everything is gone. Stay with us as we...
Again, he talks to them like they were killed in a car accident and he was the only survivor. He's the one that took their lives on purpose, not even by accident. And that's how he acts, as if he was a victim in this case. But he's the main villain.
We read every letter in full, and take you deep inside the mind of Chris Watts, through the words he left behind.
I shouldn't have read them in the
Today
beginning.
we aren't telling you how it happened. We're not talking about trials, police reports, or timelines. You've heard all that. You've seen the headlines, the news clips, the footage played over and over again.
And over and over.
You've heard the arguments. You've watched the interviews. You know what he did. This is not about that. This is about his words, his letters. Written from a prison cell. Addressed to the very people he stole from the world. Shanann. Bella.
Celeste.
CeCe. Nico. No journalists were in the room. No cameras. No attorneys. Just Chris
him.
Watts, alone, putting pen to paper. Writing to the wife he once promised forever to. Writing to his daughters, whose laughter once filled his home.
This
Writing
person's
to
good.
a son he would never hold in his arms.
Jeez.
These letters were not meant to be read out loud. They weren't crafted for sympathy. They weren't part of a legal defense or a carefully constructed public image. They were private. Raw. At times, disjointed. At other times, unsettlingly calm. He wrote them during holidays. On birthdays. In the quietest moments of his life. Moments where the weight of his actions met the cold stillness of a prison cell.
He's gonna have more.
And when no one else was watching, he spoke to them. As if they were still there. As if they were
He wants people to think he's not a monster. Of course he's gonna try to act like this gentle giant or gentle being when he is a cold-blooded killer, just turned on when Nicole needed him.
listening. And today, so are we. We're going to read each letter. Uninterrupted.
Whoops.
Exactly as he wrote them. No rewrites. No edits. Just the unfiltered voice of a man who lost everything, by his own hands, and tried to speak into the emptiness that followed. Then, we're going to unpack them. Line by line. Word by word. We'll look at what he said, and what he didn't. We'll hear his memories, his reflections, his longing, and his silence. We'll try to understand the distance between what he wrote, and what really happened. This isn't about justice. It isn't about punishment. It's about the space between memory and reality. Between guilt and grief. Between presence and absence. These letters were meant for the ones who are gone. And now, they are here. Let's begin. Letter to Shanann. Every time I close my eyes, I see us on our wedding day. Those were the first words he wrote to her. Shanann. The woman he met in 2010. The one who said he was the only person who never gave up on her. The one who built a life, a family, and a home with him. The one he once called his best friend. His rock. His forever. Every time I close my eyes, I see us on our wedding day. Those big eyelashes. Your red lips. You looked flawless. The love was undeniable. Oh, how I wish we could have that moment in time back. Just hit the rewind 5 months ago. But unfortunately, life will not let us. It's a short letter. But it's not casual. It's layered with images. Descriptions. Longing. He places himself back in that moment, the vows, the music, the eyes across the aisle. He sees her the way he did then. Radiant. Confident. Happy.
Too bad you couldn't have
He
that.
doesn't write about the years that followed. The cracks in the marriage. The resentment. The decisions. Just the day they began. The day he promised her the rest of his life. He doesn't talk about her last moments. or the unborn son she carried,
He talks about
or
Nicole.
the daughters who called him daddy. Instead, he writes about lashes, and lips, and the way she looked in white. The letter reads like a memory being preserved. A photograph in motion. Frozen in time, untouched by reality. There's no reference to the man he became. No confrontation of what he did.
I'm sorry.
No
for doing
sense
what
of
I did.
reckoning. No apology. Only a wish. A rewind button. As if a change of scenery could erase everything that came after. And then he writes. You're an amazing prey. The signs are everywhere. As long as I live, there will not be a day or night that goes by without me praying to you and the kiddos. I love you with all my heart. Always and forever.
Well, that heart is
Suck,
cold
suck, so.
and black.
He calls her a prey. Perhaps a miswriting. Or perhaps a subconscious slip. A prayer. A presence. A ghost he now lives with. He says he prays to her. That he sees signs everywhere. He's created a world where she hasn't vanished. Where she's just, out of reach. He prays to her, as if she's divine. But he never speaks directly to her fate. He tells her he loves her. That he always will.
This person knows their way with words.
But love, again, is a promise to protect. And his actions severed that promise beyond repair. He ends the letter with a signature he repeats in others. Always and forever. A phrase that echoes across paper. But the forever he gave her wasn't life. It was silence. He never once says, I'm sorry. Never once writes, I did this to you.
I apologize.
He speaks only of beauty. Of the dress. The lashes. The wish to rewind. He avoids the truth, not by denying it, but by pretending it never happened. As if time simply moved on without them. As if their story paused at the altar. Before anything broke. Before anything was lost. But time didn't pause. It shattered. And now, all that's left are his memories,
It was
carefully
annihilated.
selected, gently written, always reaching backward. He never writes about what came after. Because maybe he can't. Or maybe, he won't. And so, this letter joins the others. A monument of longing, framed in denial. But the next letter carries a different tone. Less romantic. More innocent. It was written to someone small. Someone who once ran to him at the end of every school day with open arms and a glowing smile. Her name was Bella. And it was her birthday. Letter to Bella for her birthday. Happy birthday. I miss you so much. I remember last year at the aquarium for your birthday. You had a blast. He's writing to his oldest daughter. Bella Marie Watts. Just 4 years old when her life was stolen. This letter came after Christmas.
She fought for her
After
life.
he had already written to the whole family. But this one was just for her. It's short. Innocent. Like the very child he's addressing. Even though you're not physically here, I can feel your amazing spirit around me. When I read you a story or sing you a song, you can hear me, I feel it in my heart. Daddy loves you. Always and forever. No long paragraphs. No transitions. Just scattered thoughts trying to mimic presence. As if he still sat beside her. As if he could still see her listening. There's a kind of softness in this letter, the same way a parent talks to a toddler. It's conversational. It's tender. And it's heartbreaking. Because the child he's talking to is gone.
His
And the
victim.
man writing this was the reason. There's no
Exactly.
reference to what happened. Not a single word of explanation. Not even a hint of accountability. It's a letter stripped of consequence, as though the events that tore their family apart never took place. He says she had a blast at the aquarium. He remembers the laughter, the joy, the color of the fish, the way her eyes lit up when she saw the glass tunnels overhead. The family photos taken that day show her smiling wide, hand in hand with Shanann. Innocence wrapped in a day that should have lived forever in her memory. Instead, it now lives only in his. Even though you're not physically here, I can feel your amazing spirit around me. This line says everything about his emotional state. He's no longer writing to a living child. He's writing to a presence. A feeling. A ghost. He doesn't say, "You're gone." He doesn't say, "I miss you because of what I did." Instead, he folds himself into magical thinking, the kind children are known for. He imagines that by reading a story aloud, she hears it. That singing a song
He's making himself feel better.
reaches beyond the walls of his cell and into some other place where she still exists. It's a form of self-soothing. A kind of grief that never moves forward. Because to move forward, he'd have to stand in the truth.
He's probably going
And in this letter,
nuts.
he never touches it. He signs it again, the same way he always does. Daddy loves you. Always and forever.
You don't have that title.
He
no more.
uses the name, Daddy, a title filled with warmth. The kind of title you earn through bedtime stories and scraped knees and surprise hugs. And here he writes it again, like he still deserves to hold it.
He doesn't.
And perhaps, in his mind, he does. But what this letter reveals, more than anything, is a man trying to keep something alive.
In
A
his
bond.
mind.
A connection. A flicker of innocence in a life now defined by devastation. It's hard to read. Harder to listen to. Because the words are full of love. But love that's unanchored. Love that came too late. There's no guilt in this letter. Only longing. Only the echo of a father's voice, trying to reach a little girl who will never answer back.
He should write.
And next, he writes to
the
another.
guilt.
The younger one. The wild one. The spark. He calls her his little rocket ship. Her name was Celeste. We called her CeCe. Letter to CeCe. I miss you so much, my little rocket ship. That's how he begins the letter to Celeste. To CeCe. A child who was just 3 years old.
When you took her life.
Spirited. Fiery. Full of movement and sound. The kind of energy that couldn't be contained. That burst into every room like sunlight. That made noise just for the joy of it. I remember every picture of you, you have the biggest smile. It goes from ear to ear and lights up the entire room. It's true. The photos tell the story. Her joy was magnetic. Her eyes bright. Her grin unstoppable. She was the kind of child who didn't walk anywhere, she ran, twirled, climbed, spun. If you've seen the home videos, you know her voice, high and playful, repeating her sister's words or inventing her own. She was chaos in its most beautiful form. And Chris remembers that. He writes. I miss picking you up from school and you sprint toward me once you see me. It's an image frozen in time. The small body running toward him. The arms wide. The face lighting up. It's the moment any parent lives for, the unfiltered love of a child, given without hesitation. That moment, in a parking lot, in the afternoon sun, 1,000 times over. He recalls it clearly. But he does not say why he will never see it again. He does not say why she will never run again. He does not say how he took it from her. He simply writes the memory. Preserves it. Offers it back to the world as if it is still intact. From a distance, the letter is beautiful. But when you know the truth, when you remember that this man is the reason those moments are now gone, the words take on a different tone. There is no ownership of guilt. No reaching for forgiveness. No moment where he admits that the man writing this letter is the one who ended the story. Instead, he says, Daddy loves you. Always and forever. And then he stops. This letter, like the others, refuses to step into the truth. It circles around it. Touches the edges. remembers the warmth, but never looks directly at the cold finality of what happened. It's surreal. It's the voice of a man who speaks to his child as if she is still nearby, just out of view, waiting to be heard.
And that he's a
But
victim
CeCe
with
is
them.
gone. And next, he writes to the one he never got to meet.
This one's
Nico.
This one upsets me a lot more because I've never once thought about anything negative with my son when it comes to taking him away or hurting him. Because I'm a father, I'm supposed to be there for him. And don't get me wrong, I love my daughters too, but I don't know what it is like a father and son bond, but it's there, and I love him dearly. He's my mini me. I have no words. And for this man to take his unborn son away, it upsets me a lot because you could have had your mini me. Chris could have had his little buddy, his just his little guy that he could play baseball with or play cars or video games, and he took it away for another woman. That's what really is upsetting.
His unborn son. Letter to Nico. I wish I could have met you, little man. Those are the first words. A sorrowful admission. A dream deferred. A boy who never got to take his first breath. You were gonna be a great little ball player. He imagines a future. T-ball games. Gloves too big for small hands. Summer days spent at the field. He creates a vision of the child that could have been. But Nico never had the chance. Chris writes, I know you are being an awesome little brother to those two big sisters you have. It's a line built on hope. Or maybe delusion.
It's delusion.
He pictures them together now, somewhere else, all four of them.
Where
He
he's not
imagines a
gonna
version of the world where they are reunited, where the story continues, untouched by reality. But the reality is this. Nico's life ended before it began. Because his father, the man who wrote this letter, decided there would be no beginning. This is the most painful letter. Because it is.
And he tried to murder him twice. Or he did. The second time. But the first time he tried with the D word.
Is written to a child who had no voice. No memories. No laughter recorded.
This person's got
No
some
footsteps to echo in a hallway.
good
Only a name. An ultrasound.
wording.
A dream. And that dream was shattered before it ever became a person. This letter is filled with projection. With fantasy. With aching regret. But even here, there is no direct apology. No confession. Only a wish. A whisper. And then, as always. Daddy loves you. Always and forever. That line, always and forever, becomes the thread. The phrase he returns to, again and again.
Daddy.
As if by repeating it, he can resurrect something.
Daddy loves
As if
you.
the words alone can become a bridge between him and the lives he ended. So now, we read them again. Together. All of them. I love you, Shanann. I love you, Bella. I love you, CeCe.
You don't get to say that
I
no
love you,
more.
Nico. Always and forever. These were their lives. This was their story. And these were his words. But what do they mean? Did he love them?
No.
Or did he only love the idea of them?
The
Is
idea.
this grief? Or a mirror, reflecting only what he wishes to see?
Second one.
This is what he left behind. Ink on paper. Memories preserved. 4 names. Always and forever. What does grief look like, when you're
Not
the one
that.
who caused the loss? What does guilt sound like, when it's filtered through silence? For the last 90 minutes, you've heard the letters. Word for word. Line by line. A father, writing to his children.
90 minutes.
A husband, writing to his wife. A man,
It's only been 23 minutes.
writing to the life he destroyed. Now we ask, what lies beneath those words? Incarceration changes people. Time moves differently behind walls.
The man has nothing to do besides wreck, eat, and to think. He's going to be thinking, and thinking. And that's all he has to do. What else is he going to do?
The quiet gets louder.
Right?
Memories become sharper. Regret creeps in, slowly, then all at once.
Delusion,
There are
insanity.
no distractions. No routines.
What, I can't remember who said it, wasn't it? Edson? Can't remember. That said insanity was doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I think it's like that. Is it Edison or Einstein? I can't remember which one it is, but that's what Chris Watts thinks.
Just the weight of your own mind, and the sound of a metal door that never really closes, because it never really opens. Chris Watts lives in that stillness. And in that stillness, he began to write. But the question isn't just what he wrote. It's why. Does he grieve? Yes. But what kind of grief is this? Not the grief of a man who lost someone. The grief of a man who took everything.
I would say the grief of the man himself that committed the crime. He's saddened about his life from being destroyed.
And is left with nothing. He remembers sled rides, elf costumes, aquarium birthdays. He says, I miss you. He says, I love you. He prays. He speaks to them like they're still there. But is that grief or guilt?
Guilt.
There's a psychological tension in these letters. One that never fully resolves. It's the distance between knowing what he did and refusing to write it. He never confesses. He never describes the moment. He never names the act. He remembers the laughter, but not the silence that followed. He remembers the smiles, but never
He should do a third and final confession and actually tell the truth.
the fear.
3 strikes, you're out.
So we're left asking, is this guilt reshaped into something easier to live with? Or is it denial? He says he loves them. But what does love mean when it follows violence?
He didn't know what love was because he had to Google it.
When a man says, I love you, to the people he killed, we have to ask, who is he really talking to? The living?
Himself.
The dead? Or himself? This is where cognitive dissonance takes root, the psychological conflict between actions and identity. He cannot reconcile the person he was with the person he became. So, he creates a version of himself that still loves, still remembers, still belongs. Is it redemption? Or is it performance? Is he trying to rebuild something inside his head? Or is he trying to persuade us, the readers, the listeners, the outsiders, that he's still human?
Yeah, see,
And
I
then
told
there's the
you.
stillness again. The isolation. The voice in the void. He writes, because they can't answer. He writes, because the silence might break him if he doesn't. And in that silence, he says he hears them. He says they're with him.
He hears the memories of them. He doesn't hear what they are now. Beautiful souls in the sky.
That he sees signs. That he feels their spirits. Which brings us to the next part of the
What sign did he see? It was in his ravioli with ABCs and it said LO or LVE. He's like, oh, it says love. They still love me. It's pretty much how he's probably
story.
acting.
The spiritual thread woven through every line. God blesses me with. Those are his words. Scattered throughout the pages. Written without irony. Jesus is with me. I pray to you. God is with us. Always and forever. It's easy to overlook. But it's there, buried inside the soft lines, a search for meaning. A desire to believe in something greater than consequence. He quotes scripture. "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace." Numbers 6:24-26. The priestly blessing. A verse used at funerals, at blessings of newborns, and in moments of finality. So why did Chris Watts write it in a letter to the family he ended? Is it hope? Is it desperation?
Denial.
Is it an attempt to offer peace to those he stole it from?
For
Many
him.
inmates turn to religion. They seek God when the world stops speaking back. In that silence, faith becomes structure, ritual, comfort. But comfort doesn't equal repentance.
But they need to seek that asylum into God beforehand. Give yourself to God, which he should have done before, and maybe this would have never happened. I'm glad he's found God, but is there a time and a place where it's too late? I mean, they say that the only sin that's unforgettable is blasphemy. But in our eyes, killing, murder is like uno. Like we think it's number one. But in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, in God's eyes is the same thing as thou shalt not lie. Again, I throw the religion in it just because I feel that Chris is just using his religion to show that he is a good person and to make his image look good. I just feel that it's bad that he's doing that. But again, it's not my opinion or my decision, and his life between God. That's on him. So I just would like to know your guys' thoughts about it.
So we ask again. Is this remorse? Or is it self-preservation? Does he believe in redemption? Or is he clinging to the idea that someone, somewhere, might still listen? Because in his letters, God always listens.
Yeah, the crazy Team Chris people.
Jesus is always near. And Shanann, Bella, CeCe, Nico, are always still with him. In spirit. In signs. In moments he says he feels, though they're no longer real. It's not confession. It's reconstruction.
Oh, they're real. Their physical body is gone, but their eternal soul lives on. They're still real. They're just in the different spectrum.
A man who destroyed everything, building a world where he didn't. Where he still belongs. Where he is still a father. Still a husband. Still loved. Still worthy. But letters are one-way conversations. And redemption only comes when you walk toward the truth.
I wonder if he has any letters to Nicole.
He hasn't yet. But he writes. And writes. And signs every line the same way. Always, and forever. He said, always and forever. But forever, now, is a prison cell. A bed
Forever.
bolted to concrete. A window that doesn't open.
That
A door
sucks.
that only locks. That's where the words came from. The stories. The memories. The soft echoes of a man speaking to those who can no longer answer.
By his
The ones he
hand.
wrote to. They are not there. They do not hear him. They live on, but not in this cell. They live in photographs. In shared memories. In the lives of those who love them, Far beyond these pages. Far beyond these words. We've read the letters. Word for word. We've heard the longing, the guilt that hides between the lines, the stories that try to recreate what cannot return. But now it's your turn to speak. What do you think these letters reveal? Were they written in remorse? In delusion? Or something else entirely? Comment your thoughts below. And if these stories move you, if the human mind,
It makes you mad. I'm not gonna lie.
all its complexity, continues to pull you in. Like this video, subscribe, and share it. Because there's more to come. More stories. More voices.
More lies.
More truths we still don't fully understand. Until then, stay curious.
And stay human. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts about these letters. I never knew that he actually wrote to them. I know I've never actually heard him say, I am sorry for what I had done and how many people I destroyed. You kind of hear some weird variant of that. But again, your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, the bell icon next to the subscribe button, and do the exact same thing over in Secret in the Dark. Secret in the Dark. Go give him some love. You know what to do. And we will see you guys in the next one. Please take care, be safe. And again, keep it real and keep nerding on.